If you've ever thought something in me feels missing, stay with me. Not because I am going to give you a spooky answer, and not because I can remove all mystery, but because there's a simple way to think about the soul that can make you feel less empty, less scattered, and more like a real person again. Today we're going to learn that the soul may not be a ghost trapped inside your body. It may be something both more ordinary and more precious than that. It may be your inner life, the part of you that can tell truth from performance, the part that can love, the part that can pay attention, the part that can suffer without becoming cruel, the part that decides what deserves your life. That's why this question matters, because a lot of people are not asking, do I have a soul? They're really asking, why do I feel so far away from myself? That's a modern pain. You can be busy all day, answer messages, pay bills, post photos, hit deadlines, and still feel like your life is happening 1 inch above your actual heart. You look functional, but inwardly you feel unfed. Here's the first move. Stop imagining the soul as a hidden object. A lot of confusion starts there. We picture a tiny glowing thing floating somewhere inside us, like a jewel behind the ribs. Then we ask, where is it? Can science measure it? What happens to it? Do I still have one if I feel numb? But that picture may be the wrong tool. A better picture is this. Your soul is less like a pearl and more like a garden. A garden is real, but not because you can hold the whole thing in your hand. It's real because it has a condition. It can be alive. It can be neglected, it can be overrun, it can be tended. Your inner life is like that. If you fill every quiet space with noise, if you live by pleasing strangers, if you hide from painful truths, if you train yourself to want only what gets applause, something in you goes thin. Not evil, not doomed, just thin. And when people say, I feel soulless, that's often what they mean. They don't mean a magical object has escaped. They mean their inner life has been starved. That's a very different problem. And it's a more hopeful one, because what has been starved can be fed. Here's the second move. Your soul takes shape through attention. This sounds small, but it changes everything. What you keep looking at slowly teaches you what's real, what's valuable, and who you're supposed to be. Attention is not just a flashlight. It's also a sculptor. Look at modern life for 5 seconds. Your phone offers you 1,000 tiny commands. Compare, react, want this, fear that, be outraged, be prettier, be richer, be faster. Don't sit still. Don't think too long. Keep scrolling. If you live inside that stream all day, your inner world starts to break into fragments. You become easy to pull, easy to provoke, easy to define from the outside. A scattered mind often becomes a scattered self. That's why protecting attention is not a luxury. It's soul care. Here's a short line worth remembering. What you stare at, you start to serve. Let's test that idea. If every morning begins with panic and every spare minute goes to noise, then your inner life never gets the chance to gather itself. It's like trying to hear a violin in a room where 10 televisions are all turned on. So one practical step is very simple. Give yourself small islands of unbroken attention. 5 minutes without input, a walk without headphones, a meal without scrolling, a question written on paper. What's actually happening in me today? That may sound almost too basic, but basic is often what saves us. The third move is this. Truth protects the soul. A person weakens inwardly when they spend too much time lying, pretending, flattering, performing, or borrowing beliefs just to belong. And yes, that includes lying to yourself. Especially that. Sometimes emptiness is not random. Sometimes it's the feeling of being separated from reality for too long. You say you're fine when you're grieving. You say you're in love when you're lonely. You say you're choosing freely when you're just afraid of disapproval. You say you're too busy to think, when really you're scared of what silence will show you. That kind of life can look successful from across the room, but inside it starts to feel hollow. Why? Because the soul, if we use that word in this grounded way, needs contact with what's real. A house built on fog can't feel stable. This doesn't mean brutal honesty all the time. It doesn't mean turning every feeling into a courtroom. It means a gentler strength, the strength to say, this hurts, I was wrong, I miss them, I am envious, I am pretending, I don't believe what I keep repeating, I need to change something. Truth can sting, but falsehood drains. Another line worth keeping. Reality is heavy, but unreality is exhausting. And here's why that matters. The person who faces reality may feel grief, fear, or disappointment, but they can stand somewhere solid. The person who keeps escaping reality has to keep managing the escape. That gets tiring fast. Now the fourth move, love enlarges the soul. When people hear the word soul, they often think of private identity, my essence, my special inner self, my hidden core. But one sign of a healthy inner life is that it stops being obsessed with itself. Think of a room with no windows. It may be beautifully decorated, but stay there too long and the air goes stale. A self closed in on itself becomes like that. If your whole life is organized around status, self-protection, image, revenge, or approval, your world gets smaller and smaller. You become trapped in a hall of mirrors, always checking how you appear. That's one reason modern loneliness can be so intense. People are constantly seen and rarely nourished. Love breaks that spell. Not just romance, something wider. The love of another person, yes, but also the love that appears when you care for a child, help a friend, notice a tree, make a meal, tell the truth kindly, repair something broken, create something beautiful, or give your full presence to someone who is hurting. Love says, my life is not only a performance about me. And the strange thing is, that realization doesn't erase you. It deepens you. You become more fully yourself when you're able to genuinely care beyond yourself. This is why some of the most alive people are not the most admired people. They're the people who have learned how to give real attention and real care. Their inner life has roots. Here's a line for the screen. The soul grows where life stops revolving around applause. Now the fifth move, courage is how the soul stays intact. This is maybe the most important part, because all the nice thoughts in the world mean very little when life gets hard. And life does get hard. Someone leaves. A diagnosis arrives. You fail publicly. You lose years to confusion. You realize the world is not fair. You realize you can't keep everyone. You realize you can't force life to match your hopes. At that point, many people ask, how do I keep from going dead inside? The answer is not denial, and it's not fantasy, it's courage. Not movie courage, not loud courage, quiet courage. The courage to face reality without worshipping it. That matters, because there's a bad kind of realism that says the world is harsh. So become harsh. People are selfish. So become selfish. Power wins. So admire power. Everyone performs. So become a better performer. But that's not wisdom. That's surrender. Real courage says, I will look at what's true without giving away my standards. I will accept limits without becoming cynical. I will grieve without becoming bitter. I will be disappointed without becoming fake. I won't call cruelty strength. I won't call numbness peace. That's how a person keeps their soul. Not by avoiding pain, but by refusing to let pain decide what they become. Think of a ship in rough water. The storm matters. Of course it matters. But the deeper question is whether the ship still has a compass. Courage is the compass. Now let's make this practical. If your life has felt flat, blurred, or inwardly starved, here are 4 things you can do tonight. First, name what's real. Take a page and write 2 short sentences. What's true right now? What hurts right now? Keep it plain. I am lonely. I am tired. I am pretending to be okay. I miss who I was before this year. I'm afraid of disappointing people. You don't need a perfect theory of yourself. You need contact with reality. Second, protect 10 minutes of attention. Not tomorrow when life becomes calmer. Tonight. No videos, no messages, no multitasking. Sit, walk, or stare out a window. Let your mind settle enough to hear one honest thought. 10 minutes is a practical starting point, not a magic rule. If 5 is what you can do, start with 5. Third, do one act that makes you less self-enclosed. Send the kind message. Wash the dish. Step outside and notice the evening sky. Ask someone a real question and wait for the answer. Read 1 page slowly instead of 30 pages, numbly. Tiny acts of care are not tiny to the soul. They're how the inner life remembers it belongs to a world bigger than fear. Fourth, drop 1 false master. Ask yourself, what have I been serving that's making me smaller? Maybe it's approval. Maybe it's constant distraction. Maybe it's the need to look untouched. Maybe it's busyness used as hiding. Maybe it's the dream that if you can just impress enough people, you'll finally feel real. Pick one. Loosen its grip. You don't have to rebuild your whole life by morning. You just have to stop kneeling to what empties you. And a small reminder here, these are reflective practices, not medical care. If numbness, despair, trauma, or depression are hitting hard, real help matters. Talk to a licensed professional and verify the right support, safety steps, and care plan for your real situation. So here's the simplest answer I can give. A soul is the inner life you shape and protect. It's the part of you formed by what you love, what you face, what you refuse, what you attend to, and what you're willing to live for. It's not made stronger by panic, not made deeper by status, not made whole by endless distraction. It becomes more alive through truth, through attention, through love, through courage. You don't have to solve the universe tonight. You don't have to prove every mystery. You do have to choose what kind of inward life you're building. One last line to carry with you. Meaning is not something you find fully formed. It's something you practice. So if life has felt empty, start there. Tell 1 truth. Protect 1 quiet moment. Give 1 real act of care. Refuse 1 false thing. That's not everything, but it's enough to begin feeling alive again. If this helped, subscribe and stay with us for more calm, clear philosophy for real life.